take away from this. So to kind of sum up and end this, and again, I'm quite happy to take any questions if we have time. What have we learned from all of this? What have I learned from all this? So rest is as good as we think it is. It really, truly is. And I think, again, jumping on to what Coach Curtis was saying, is one thing that we need to think about is it's really, really good, and you can do it, and it's easier to do it in the off season because there are forced breaks such as going home, finals week, and so on and so forth. But is there a way? What is the right discussion? How do we broach having some kind of breaks, and what do those breaks look like in season? Because the pause showed, as Coach Curtis said, that there were times in athletes, and this is a blanket statement because it wasn't everybody, where when the teams and individuals were paused, if they were handled correctly in the break, they came out of it and had career games, much to the detriment of some of the teams that weren't on the pauses. So that definitely is an important discussion that has come out of this, and it makes me feel good that Coach Curtis had that too. The Goldilocks problem is, well, how much is too much? What I would say is, if we look at the 3 months worth of data that I just shared with you guys, extremely good performance-based returns from that break. Poor returns in terms of work capacity, poor returns in terms of what they could do in terms of their strength qualities. So 3 months is obviously too much. Our typical break, as you guys all know, is about 2 weeks before postseason starts, depending obviously how far your season goes. That probably isn't enough. And the argument, I think, because I'm sure a question will come up, well, what do you think we should do? Is, there's got to be maybe more of a 2 week full break, and then slowly and cautiously and carefully. And we're the best in the business at periodizing. I mean, that's what we do. But helping the coaches periodize, getting back into practice, getting back into basketball. What does that look like? What does that mean? And that definitely bleeds into much of what Coach Curtis was talking about. To sort of end this whole discussion, I think we need to seek freshness. I think we talk about bigger, faster, stronger a lot, and we should do, but I do think that mental and physical freshness should be as important a hallmark of what we do moving forward as any other value that we put a lot of stock in. And as we both just said multiple times, it doesn't necessarily have to always be in the off season, or when we are told to have breaks because the NCAA has breaks because of the college year. So seeking freshness, I think, is a very important part of what we learned from this. Adaptations are individualized. It is something that we knew, but again, coming out of such an extreme shutdown, it becomes even more of an obvious statement. So we should, as much as possible in the busy environments we have, individualize our training plans, particularly if we're looking for specific adaptations, because we all change at different rates, and that needs to be honored as much as we can program around that. If you're using data, this is just my recommendation in general, but dealing with the threat of myocarditis, dealing with the threat of unknown heart-related issues, and all the other crazy that came with COVID, is I really strongly believe, and I think the data and research has proved this, you can't just hang on internal metrics on their own or external metrics on their own. There has to be an interplay between the two, because you need to know what the body is experiencing or what you're asking the body to do in terms of external metrics, but then you need to understand internally how it is being affected, whether it's EMG activity, whether it's heart rate activity, whatever it is internally that you need to look at, have the capacity to look at. It's the interplay between the metrics is where the money is. Otherwise, you're really only looking at half the story, and you're missing a big part of what could be important. Habits matter. Probably a lot of strength coaches are feeling really good about that, because I think this definitely backed that up. What I would say the lesson learned is checking in with our guys and girls as much as possible, which we should be doing anyway as part of this, but as it relates to incoming players, transfers, high school athletes, getting to talk to them as much as you can compliance-wise, getting the ability to interact with them, getting the ability to create a relationship to help teach them habits as soon as possible is going to be really, really important, because you're going to get freshmen and transfers that come in that maybe already have them just because of who they are, how they've grown up, experience they've had, but a lot of them won't necessarily have had them. And so the sooner we can get to these guys and girls in the best possible way, develop their relationship, I think you're going to see a lot of quicker changes as it relates to habits, which is an ongoing kind of discussion anyway. And those that know me and anybody that follows the work I do, as much as I like data, as much as I like science, as much as I like the things relate to the game, it's always about people. people first always is a really important mantra to me. And that, I think, is really the story of the entire pandemic and quarantine, is that we matter. We need to keep an eye on each other. We need to take care of each other, because the stronger those bonds are and the more we put people first, the better the outcomes across the board will always be, no matter what your data is telling you.